After 1 o'clock now, settle back if you now are really interested in this Kieren Fallon feature, because it's coming up. Originally we split it into 4 parts. All 4 parts coming up now for you over the course of the next hour. And of course, conducting the interview is Matt Chapman.
Most of us have experienced it at least once, whether it be cheering home George Washington, Golan, King's Best, or Footsteps in the Sand, or maybe Sleepy Time, Wince, Russian Rhythm, or Virginia Waters. It's at this point on the Rowley Mile at Newmarket, coming down into the dip, that we say, "Go on, Kieren, come on, Kieren." It's called the Fallon Factor. It's just after 6 a.m. in Newmarket. All is tranquil on a gorgeous spring morning, where the odd tweet of a bird is interrupted only by the familiar sound of hooves. It's serene, beautiful. Kieren Fallon, the 6-time champion jockey, is due to ride work for Sir Michael Stout. He won't be riding in races later on, though. He's banned after failing a drugs test in France. Yet he seems as content as the surroundings, and perhaps that's not a great surprise. After all, this must be heaven compared to the days he spent at the Old Bailey Court in London towards the end of last year on charges now dropped. Kieren, we've just seen you up and about for Sir Michael this morning. One thing that comes across, considering the last sort of 6, 12, even 18 months you've had, you seem remarkably contented with life.
Yeah, things are good again. I'm enjoying doing what I am at the moment. I'm in a yard that I really like, and I've always gone well with Sir Michael. We worked well together. We were very successful in the short time we had together, and as I say, I wanted to go back there just to try and rebuild my life again and my confidence.
I mean, looking back at your career, the Fallon name doesn't steeped in sort of racing history. I think you went to Kevin Prendergast, wasn't it, about the age of 17?
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks to my 18th birthday, and I'd never sat on a horse before, but something was always there, always telling me that, you know, I wanted to do it, you know. But where we lived in Ireland, the west of Ireland, there's no really racing centres there. Actually, the only one really is in Kildare, you know, where you have apprentice school. And I never went there, I just went straight to Kevin's. I knew nothing about the apprentice school. Probably if I did, I would have applied and gone. But I wrote away to a handful of trainers that was over there at the time. I think some of them were jump trainers as well at the time. I didn't know it until after I drew a grade. Yeah, was when Andrew McNamara was another horse, and Kevin and Dermot Weld. But Kevin was the only one to answer right there, and I think he was short-staffed and he wanted someone to muck out, but I ended up going there very shortly afterwards. Just quit school and away I went.
It took you 2 years to ride your first winner, Piccadilly Lord. I think it was at Navan, wasn't it?
Or at Navan, yeah.
And you know, you were on the way, and it seems then you just really got your head down, worked incredibly hard for the next 2 or 3 years, and then in 1987 you finished second in the Irish Apprentices title, so you were clearly moving on well at that stage.
Yeah, it was very difficult in Ireland because I think it's where all the best horses are bred, and I think as the record shows, the jockey's the same. You know, you just have to look at the jump stable. You know, they're all the Irish boys that dominate, by Richard Johnson, I think, and of course on the flats the same. You know, wherever you go in the world, but in Kevin's was very tough because at the time I think there was about 10 apprentices there at the time. Charlie Swan obviously is one that stood out. Another one was Eddie Leonard. He was European champion apprentice. He was very good, and we had some quality young riders there, and it was very hard. And we're all fighting for that one half-decent ride that, you know, that was available, because Gabriel Corn had the pick of them because he was stable jockey, and it was always going to be difficult.
So you're now a leading Irish apprentice, second in the title, and I think it was in 1988 you came over this way to Britain. And if we can just concentrate on some of the trainers you've then ridden for since then, that was with Jimmy Fitzgerald. Was he a pretty tough taskmaster?
Yeah, he was. God rest him. He was a great trainer and a really great guy to be around. You know, he was very clever, and he could be always very witty. You know, It could be hard as well, you know. You could never get a gallop right. You know, you either went too quick or you went too slow. Even when you got it right, I think it was, you know, it was just him, it was his character. But I mean, we enjoyed it there. We had a great time, and I learned a lot.
So you're on the Northern Circuit, which by all accounts is probably a tougher circuit than perhaps the Southern Circuit. And you eventually met Jack and Linda Ramsden.
I think that was a kickstart to my career, really. It wasn't until I moved to Linda and Jack's that really things kicked off, and I only had a short time with them before I ended up with Henry Cecil. But you know, we had a great time up north. You know,
Of course, you won the Lincoln on high premium.
that was one of my first rides for them. Yeah, it was magic.
High premium pressed all the time by Mosea, then coming home very strongly is Will of Steel on the far side, a long way clear the far side groove inside the final 100 yards, and High Premium grabbed all the time by Mosea. There's a half a length between the two. Will of Steel's close up, but racing close home, and High Premium's won the Lincoln from Mosea and Will Steel, and they're followed in by Ringland.
You couldn't ask for a better start, you know, to a new job. The good thing really was Jack Ramsden's idea for me to go to America.
Yeah.
And
The old clock going.
yeah, and I got a 6-month band, and he advised me to go there and set me up with one of the great trainers out there called Rodney Rash. I moved on then to the following year myself to Bobby Frank, who was one of the top trainers in America. And I think that was really the turning point of my riding, because from just being, you know, riding winners and getting by, I knew what I was doing when I came back from America. I knew how quick we were going. I knew when I wanted to sit and when I wanted to kick.
I think it's fair to say that most of us realised that Jack and Linda had it off on a few occasions. Were you ever told about the gambles, or do you go out and they just keep absolutely quiet and ride the race?
I didn't really know as much then, as obviously as I do now, especially with speed figures and everything else. And I just rode to instructions. In a row, we rode the horses' work. We knew what the race was like. We either liked them or didn't. You know, if it wasn't good enough, didn't make a difference. You just rode, and your instructions were pretty similar all the time. Jack liked you to put the horses to sleep and finish the race.
Was he good in defeat if he lost?
Jack would never say nothing.
Right.
You know, and Linda she was a lady to ride for. You know, that's what made it easy for me as well. You know, they gave me the confidence. You know, I never had to worry about anything.
It was all changed though in 1997. Newmarket, here we come from Jack and Linda. Henry Cecil, one of the biggest names in the business.
That was a dream come true.
You had 202 winners on your first season with him.
Yeah, I
lost
just
count
standing
halfway.
here, I don't know, but I know I think it was 4 seasons I rode about them, 3 seasons I had over 200 winners. But when you're riding them type of horses, you know, it just makes your job so much easier.
It's Royal Anthem from Kilimanjaro, 2 or 3 lengths to Scorned, then Central Park dashing home down the outside from Courteous and Dancing Phantom, but it's all over. Royal Anthem by 3 lengths to Kilimanjaro. Scorned is plugging on in third from Central Park, inside the final 100, and up front Royal Anthem has got it won. Royal Anthem nudged out to retain his unbeaten record. Kilimanjaro rallied in second, Scorned third.
Just concentrating on the trainers, Henry as a man, as a trainer, what are his qualities just as a trainer?
Well, for a jockey, for me, coming down from the north, yeah, I think what I found it, riding for somebody like that is like, you know, a hero. You're somebody you followed all your life that everybody looks up to. It is a bit intimidating, you know. It wasn't the best start in the world. I know I won the Guineas and Sleepy Time for him, but we did have a little bit of a hiccup with Bosler Sham. It was a messy race.
Yeah, Sandown in the Eclipse.
Yeah, and even though he didn't say nothing, you know, I think I was riding against 3 other jockeys. They
grouped up against you.
Well, instead of grouped up, but they knew what they were doing. They knew that I was the one to beat. They thought I was the one to beat, and I'd get locked up, but it wasn't till it was too late that when I tried to get out, I knew I had a chance of trying to kick up the inside there when they went that false rail, or sit and suffer. And obviously I panicked and kicked.
Yeah.
If I sat, you know, I wouldn't have looked as bad as the mistake I made.
Yeah.
But it's history now.
On your website, you say by far and away the most talented racehorse trainer, Sir Michael Stout. So, in your book, is he the governor?
Well, when I said I wasn't comparing trainers.
Right. Okay.
You mean? What I love about Sir Michael is the way he brings his horses along. He takes his time, he builds them, you know, and you're always going to get the best at the end of the day. He's not thinking of today, he's thinking of tomorrow and the day after.
He's quite a character. I mean, you know.
He started off winning the Air Gold Cup.
Yeah.
As one of his first as a sprinter, you know. He's just excelled all the way through, you know, and he's always been there, you know.
He's had some good wins in Ascot Green Desert.
Yeah, so that's obviously what, you know, I feel comfortable around. I feel comfortable working for him, you know, more so than when say any other trainer I've been with.
Aidan O'Brien, everyone seems to think he's a master of his trade. Is working at Ballinger different to anything else in the world? Is it like a different stable layout to anyone else?
I mean, they have the best horses by far in the world. I mean,
what about the pressure?
There's no pressure. There's no pressure. You put pressure on yourself. I was lucky that the year I went there, we had Footsteps in the Sand, which was a serious horse. Unfortunately, he went after the Guineas here. He got a stone bruise and never recovered. We had Virginia Warhorse and Oratorio. I mean, we had some great horses.
What do you think you learned from Aidan? Best horses win?
Dylan Thomas in front. Hume on the outside comes the challenger, but Dylan Thomas won it. And Kieren Fallon and Dylan Thomas are the narrow victors of this arc.
I learned how to get fit.
Right.
I learned how to get fit.
In what way that's interesting?
You work hard. It's tough. You work hard. I mean, we've got, as you say, we've got fantastic horses there, the best bred horse in the world. You have the greatest gallops. Everything is there. The pools. He's got everything there, and Aidan is a very dedicated man. So his life is his jeep and his horses, and his mobile phone, and you know, unless you're able to. You know, work with him, you'll always find it difficult, you know, but he has proved himself over the years there. He's turning out stallions every year, you know, so.
When you come back, in 2 or 3 words, presumably, which would be the trainer you would like to ride for?
Whichever trainer is doing best, you know, whoever is on top. I mean, obviously, I mean, the main one is, I mean, the best horses are in Ballydoyle.
If they asked you back, would you?
I'm only going to take it one day at a time.
Right.
I'm going to try and enjoy myself, get the feel back again that I used to have for horses, which I don't think I had for a couple of years, and just really, I have to get my life back on track, which at the moment I'm very happy doing what I want to do. I love riding here. You see, the problem is there's more racing in England than there is in Ireland, even though the prize money in Ireland is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Unbelievable prize money. They've got some great tracks. You know, Dundalk now has opened up. I mean, you wouldn't ride in a better track. You know, it's
you don't need money though, in a way. I mean, I know everyone needs money to a certain extent, but not, you know, not as much as I need it anyway. So, you know, presumably it'll be the joy of riding top horses more than the prize money.
Yeah, you know, they have all the good horses, and this is the one trainer really that is going to produce top horses every year because they're bred there, you know, and it's fantastic. But you know, Sir Michael has his jockey now. Ryan has obviously proved himself to be one of the greatest jockeys. He's been around for a long time. He's been champion jockey, and you know, Sir Michael is a very loyal trainer, and I think they'll be together for a long time.
In association with Coral, as serious about racing as you are.
Mina. Lena. Or greener. The Seat TDI range, doing amazing things with diesel.
It is the most advanced car ever created. It can fly higher, go faster, and it was built for speed.
Cool beans.
Speed Racer.
Tesco Car Insurance. If you're a Club Card customer and take out a policy before June 25th, we'll give you a Karcher washer worth £100. Well, it's not often we resort to high-pressure selling, but we'll give it a go. Tesco Car Insurance. Every little helps.
Dad. I'm sorry, Dad, you're sacked. I'm sorry.
You're fired.
Dad, you're fired.
You're hired.
Remembering who you really work for. Priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For what matters, there's MasterCard.
Attack is always the best defense. Dolph Lundgren is The Defender on DVD Monday.
So all the bank holiday stock's loaded?
Yep. These Samsung rechargeable 8 million pixel digital cameras are £79, less than half price. This Sony 40-inch 1080p digital LCD TV is only £799, save £200.
Obviously in a hurry to get to the stores.
Mega offers end Tuesday. Currys with you in mind.
We can't make you immortal. We can give you life insurance from £10 a month. Call us or visit norwichunion.com.
It's 10% day this Friday and Saturday at Homebase. That means there's 10% off everything, even on top of all our great offers. Homebase. Make a house a home.
In association with coral.co.uk, as serious about racing as you are.
I like to go to the speed figures. I like to see, you know, when I'm riding a race, what are my dangers, where I want to be sitting, who do I not want to be tracking, you know. You just don't jump out of the stalls and let the horse take you there.
You're in the best position to judge the current crop. Ryan Moore's got, effectively, one could say, your job. He's quiet, but effective.
He's probably the strongest jockey in the weigh room. I love his style of riding. Different jockeys have different styles. Unless you ride yourself, it's very hard to see. Ryan gets behind the horse, gets behind the shoulder, and he's very powerful. Always in the right place at the right time, very seldom makes mistakes. You know, he's
Is that
young.
more important to a trainer than being a genius? We know, you know, for instance, Sir Mark Prescott likes Seb Sanders because he doesn't make many errors. Other jockeys have flashes of brilliance. Do you think not making mistakes is what a trainer wants?
I don't know if we should say this or not, but it's easy for Seb because he probably has £10 in hand when he rides Sir Mark's handicappers. But no, in fairness, Ryan is, I think he's a different class.
And he seems very level-headed. I mean, some people would even say much miserable. I mean, he doesn't seem very cheery about the fact he's got this incredible job.
Yeah.
Is he just dedicated?
He is very dedicated. I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about Ryan and what he does outside his racing career, but, you know, in the weigh room, around his work, he's very professional, and he does all the right things, you know. And I'd love to find a horse that excites him, but he takes it very, very, very casually, and you know, whether it's an ordinary horse or a group horse, you know.
It must be slightly strange for him having you around, and I think there was a telling picture in the Racing Post one day a few weeks ago when you know there was you looking across at Ryan. Does he ever ask for advice, or I mean, it sounds mad that the stable jockey could ask someone else for, but does he ask you for advice?
No, not really. He doesn't need any advice. He knows what he's doing, and he's bonded very well with Sir Michael Stout. They think alike, which is good. That's why I got on so well at the start. And if you can work with that, and things are going to happen for you, you know. And that's the way he has bonded with the job he has. The owners love him. I mean, he's doing everything right.
Jamie Spencer, former champion, of course, and currently the joint champion. He, for me, has the wow factor. He can ride a race, and you just think, how did he win on that? But he also can be, as a punter, the most infuriating man on earth. And, you know, he'd probably admit that himself. What do you think about him? It's a totally different way of riding.
Jamie's brilliant on horses that hold up horses that need to be produced late. He's got so much confidence, you know, and he's brave when he's going through, you know.
Do you think he gets a kick out of it? It's like...
Yeah, I think that's what gives him the confidence he has, you know. I mean, Jamie's a very dedicated lad. He works hard.
Because he can ride them from the front. We saw.
He done well. He picked himself up when he left Ireland, and then came over here and he was champion jockey. It was a hard thing to do. He proved himself then, you know.
We talked about strong jockeys. You know, Seb, I wouldn't want to come up against him in a finish. He looks mean to me, even if he has got 20 pounds in hand. You know, is he one that if you get upsides or furlong out, you think this is going to be a bit of fun?
Yeah, that's Seb. Seb is he's a worker. You know, he's a workaholic and he tries hard. I mean, he's done nothing wrong. He's obviously yet to win a classic. But Seb is a strong jockey. But the only thing, I mean, if you're to knock jockeys, I'm not a fan of the whip.
Right. Which would surprise everyone who's watching here, because, you know, I love it when you get the whip out. That means I've got a chance.
Yeah, but a horse isn't going to go.
I want you to do it, Kieren. Yeah. I want the Fallon drive.
But no, but a horse will. You mean when you give him a backhand, you get stuck into them, get him to stretch. When you have them racing, they're not going to go any faster for 10 than they are for 5. Yeah. You know.
McCoy wins races in the first 2 hurdles of a race sometimes. And with you could be rowing along after a furlong, after 2 furlongs, but it's all, you know, it doesn't mean you're under pressure. You're just encouraging the horse.
The horse isn't doing anything. You know, he's more or less gone to sleep. They're not using any gas.
So almost hypnotised.
Yeah, get him switched off, not using it, and then wait then, and then get him stretching, get him going in good time.
Just, you've spoken about the whip, let's just mention it. I mean, presumably though, you would think it was madness if jockeys didn't have whips.
Of course they need the whips. You know, I mean, the horses, especially those big colts and that, you know. I mean, it's a little bit different for fillies, you know. I don't think it's good to hit fillies. But the big, strong colts, they need a clatter, you know. If you don't, they get spoiled, and, you know, you won't be able to control them, you know.
So it's an essential tool as far as you're concerned.
Yeah.
And just some of the other jockeys. Richard Hughes, he's, you know, a lot of people call him a bit like Lester Piggott, the way he rides. What do you think about him? He's a bit sort of Jamie Spencer-ish, likes to seem to come home late.
I think there's a big difference in Jamie Spencer and Richard Hughes.
Yeah?
A big difference. I mean, their styles are completely different.
Who's better of the two?
What?
Who's the better? Come on.
Who's proven themselves?
Well,
and Jamie is. Jamie's strong as a bull in the finish, you know. Well. Whereas Richard is very stylish in the finish.
Do you think he's too tall almost? It's like that.
No, he's a very well balanced jockey. He's got great. Richard Hughes has got lovely hands, very well balanced. But if it came down to a drive and finish, I know I'd like to have my pound down.
Cape beginning to thunder home under Jamie Spencer, coming from way off the pace with a well-timed run. Cape from Baby Strange, shadows to the poster looming. Cape all out. Cape just got home.
What about the other jockeys like Neil Callan? He seems to be a bit like in the Seb Sanders mould. Very strong. Even people like Chris Catlin, you know, you see him over the winter and he looks, I mean, he's the man who's modelled himself on you. God help him. He's, you know, he spent hours trying to perfect your whip action, and he does. You know, Paul Edry obviously was trying to copy Pat, and Chris Catlin's copied you. He does look just like you on occasions.
No, he's by far the most improved rider we have in England.
I'm surprised he hasn't got a big job.
You can't believe it, really. I mean, he is the one really that has stood out from the rest. I mean, there for a time there was no jockey. You know, you usually had a couple of jockeys that all come through, good apprentices and do things. Whereas all of a sudden, you know, even Chris is there and he's riding better than anyone. He's strong, he's effective, looks really good, and doing all the right things, you know. But he'll get a good job, so he will this summer. Someone will do something.
You mentioned your mate Jimmy Fortune, who, you know, had that horrific, again, like you had the horrible injury at Royal Ascot. He had a terrible back problem that could have ruled him out.
Yeah, I mean, I was very friendly with Jimmy, so I know a lot about his back and that, but he had an operation that was very successful in South Africa, and thank God that has gone the right way. And as I say, with the hand he has this year, you know, he's involved with John Gosden. He'll be obviously riding out for Peter Chapman, Brian Meehan, you know, so, you know, they're all there, you know.
What about Alan Munro as well? I hear you've been doing a bit of martial arts like him.
Take me a long time to catch up.
I was a bit scared in this interview, I have to say.
You're all right.
Someone did say you'd done that just for this.
I'm doing it for the basic, for flexibility, mental, just to help me, you know, and you know, for those long evenings and that, when summer evening if I don't want to be playing golf, just to really keep my body right. And there's no better way, I think, than the exercises you have to do for martial art. But Alan is, I mean, he's always been a great jockey, you know. It's a pity he had to go away for 18 months, you know, because he was just really getting back in, you know, I mean, he was Royal Ascot winners, and, you know, he was really, just getting back to the top again, and he's had 18 months off, and he's working his way back in again now. But Alan rides great races. I mean, he's strong, he's effective, he doesn't have a weight problem, you know. He's going to get back there very soon. Well, I think he is back. He's back to his best again, you know, and it's all he needs now is the confidence of the trainers to put him up in the classics, you know, and put him back to where he was when he was riding Generous.
I'll get stick for mentioning him, but the Dazzler, he was 1 to 3 to be Ballydor jockey at one stage. What would you say about him? Because his career is a bit stuttery at the moment.
I mean, that's the funny part about racing. Makes you wonder, you know, what happened, you know, because he struggled there for a while. But he's starting to get back again. You know, he's creeping back in again. Dars, I mean, he's a good, strong rider and level-headed. He does it, you know, does all the right things. So, you know.
Final questions on the jockeys then. Your upsides, another jockey in the weigh room, final half of Fallon, which is the one jockey you don't want to be upsides with 20 yards to go. Who would you think this is going to be hell?
Jimmy Fortune.
Jimmy Fortune. And tactically, who would be the one that you think, perhaps off a slow pace, could ride you to sleep from the front? Not, of course, you might be doing that yourself, but. Who would be the one you wouldn't want to see dictating up front?
If we don't mention De Torre, he's sulk, won't he?
That is true. Well, he's Italian though. He's just a sulk.
Well,
yeah, he's not bad, is he?
Frank, you mean when he gets on the lead and they give him a soft lead, it annoys me, so it does, you know. When he's up there dawdling along, you know you're not going to catch him because he's always going to be riding probably one of the best horses in the race. You won't get him.
In association with coral.co.uk, as serious about racing as you are.
We've got something quite different in store at DFS. We have a smile in store. We've got style in store. Plus 4 years free credit and you'll pay nothing for a year on anything in store. From designer to recliner, big to small. We've got it all in store. And with the Trend collection, we've even got half price in store. Come and see what DFS has in store for you right now.
This weekend at B&Q, this Black & Decker electric mower is only £59. But this price will be going, gone by closing time Monday. Great prices, 4 days only.
Imagine pulling the perfect pint at home. The new Carlsberg Draftmaster, probably the best gadget in the world.
What would I like to see? I'd like to see an optician with the top designers under one roof. And I'd like to see an optician that seeks out the best new designs from around the world.
Vision Express are celebrating 20 years of helping the nation look good with a great offer on BU, their new designer, complete with lenses for just £99. Pop into Vision Express today or book an appointment at visionexpress.com. Vision Express. What would you like to see?
Once we knew we were starting a family, we decided to go organic by using Miracle Grow Organic Choice plant food. It's 100% chemical-free, and our plants grew twice as big the natural way. All natural and twice as big, kind of like me.
Hi.
One more level and I'm there.
Can't believe you're breaking up with me. I've got to go. Works every time.
Enjoy 6 spicy hot wings with your favorite original recipe chicken, mini fillets, popcorn chicken, and fries in the new KFC Wicked Variety Bucket, all for $10.99.
But I see your true colors shining through. See your
At M&S, we believe the best colors are natural colors. That's why, from now on, our food will be free from artificial flavorings and colors. This is not just food. This is M&S food.
At Comet, we're celebrating this summer's football with up to 20% off all TVs when bought with a stand, like this latest Samsung 40-inch LCD TV with stand for £799. Comet, we live electricals.
In association with Coral, as serious about racing as you are.
We're off and we're racing. A bit of a ragged start. The favourite broke well and leads early on with Ballinger Ridge, and Ballinger Ridge has decided to go on. 5 left to run, and Kieren's gone clear on Ballinger Ridge. He's gone 8-10 lengths clear. The favourite's now got to sprout wings to catch this, and it's still Ballinger Ridge. He's well clear. He's still 5 clear. Rye is closing the gap, and Kieren's looking around. Doesn't want to take it too easy. Ballinger Ridge, Rye's coming late. Rye is finishing on the outside, and the odds-on favourite might get there. This is going to be close, and it's a photo. Rye might have just got there and beaten Ballinger Ridge.
A race that is going to haunt you for the rest of your life. What happened that day?
Basically, I was riding a horse that really didn't, obviously had a probably second chance in the race. There was a horse in it of Jamie Osborne said that he had reportedly said it was a good horse and did fancy it a lot. So I'm riding my own race, and when I looked behind, I was about 20 clear. I couldn't believe how clear I was. Yeah. And I looked around, and I kind of eased up. I didn't want to went too far. I went too far. The trainers don't like it. And
that's the handicapping system, isn't it?
Yeah. And I looked around. Next thing I look again, all of a sudden down I caught on the side of my eye. I could see one coming quick, and before I got back in again, I got done on the line. It happens. It'll happen again. Hopefully not to me.
Just say, for those people who think, and there will be, you did do it deliberately, how difficult would it actually be to time it so that you were pipped by a short head?
Well, you couldn't be done. It's not something you practice. It's never judged. We try to get a winning post in front. But if you look around and you're 20 clear, what are you going to do? Don't keep pushing.
When you crossed the line at Lingfield,
I knew. I didn't know.
You close your eyes and just think.
Yeah, I remember saying to the cat, it was your worst nightmare, because I was thinking about the World Cup. The World Cup was a couple of weeks away. You know it when you get done like that, where suspensions are big. I was thinking about the World. Actually, the one thing we were doing was going to miss out on the World Cup, and that's what I was thinking about.
And for those people who are sitting at home now watching this, and they still think that was a deliberate act, what would you say to them?
Obviously, they don't know much about racing. Anyone who understands racing understand. And in particular, Andrew Balding, which is the trainer, if he thought it was, I don't think he'd put me up again. And they're the ones that know best.
Kieren Fallon, 41 from Mayor, charged with conspiracy to defraud Betfair customers.
You were charged along with 7 other people for conspiring to defraud the internet betting exchange Betfair. What was your sort of initial reaction?
Before all that, before the charge, it was the arrest. I didn't know what was going on. And I remember being in the police station, and I had my lawyer there, and they were asking me questions, and I was saying, you don't have to answer any questions. I said, well, I've nothing to hide. I've done nothing wrong. I answered all the questions, no problem. I didn't know what was going on. Some of the guys, Miles Rogers, I didn't know the guy. And it proved out after. The questions they were asking us were clearly that they knew nothing about racing. But other than that, there was really nothing in it. I thought it was the end of it.
Well, the trial didn't last very long. It seemed to be...
It lasted 3.5 years. The day didn't go by that we didn't worry.
There was plenty of evidence available throughout the investigation which showed that there was no case to answer for Kieren Fallon.
Well, I was always confident, because I knew I'd done nothing wrong. There was only going to be one result.
You were absolutely sure you would always...
As I said all along, if you did nothing wrong, I had nothing to hide. It was proved in the end.
Dramatic scenes, a sensational day, of course. The so-called trial of the century in horse racing, ending today collapsing.
None of us knew whether you were innocent or guilty. You have to accept that. We didn't know. But some of the things you were being asked about seemed ridiculous. Did you sit there some days thinking, this is just nonsense? Or did you think, God, this is good stuff?
When it does come out, some of the stuff that went on, some of the lies, people that you believe in, and people that, ask the questions, and your life are in their hands. That was scary.
Did you ever feel yourself that there was a force out there
out to get Kieren Fallon?
Well, I never, before this case started, when this case was going on, especially when I got charged, because they had nothing on me. I knew then there was something wrong.
What about all the time you were suspended from riding? How harsh did you think that was on you?
I was lucky that the Irish authorities didn't take my license and do what the English Jockey Club have done, and I was able to keep going. Other than that, you'd never know where I would have been now. You know, that was the thing that kept me going. You know, even though I wasn't riding well, I was riding with no confidence. I was still riding plenty of winners, but it wasn't the same. I mean, the year I got arrested, I was so far clear in the Jockeys Championship. I think they closed the betting, and I just couldn't, you know, I couldn't concentrate. I was riding terrible, and ended up losing the championship that year.
Well, of course, the day after the end of the court case, everyone thought Kieren would be a free man, and the news was revealed then that the French authorities had a drugs test positive from Kieren. He'd had a problem with drink in the past, and they banned you, Kieren. The public, all they want to know is basically, are you over it? Are you better?
Yeah, I mean, for the last, well, really the last year before the case, I was going through a tough time. I was very down, I was depressed, and obviously with this big case coming up, the big trial in the Old Bailey, I mean, I was all over the place, you know, and I was trying to ride and trying to do things right, and of course, thank God now the case is over, and I can kick on, and I've been away, and I've done the right things, and I'm back now and healthy and well again.
Aidan O'Brien, your boss at the time, he was basically saying, you know, you're almost too talented, it's almost too easy for you, so maybe you don't have to put quite as much work as the people who aren't so naturally talented. But he also, and I quote him here, he says, if he can get together now, he still has another chance of getting the last bit out of his career. And would you go along with that?
Well, I've been to America. I've been to America for 4 or 5 weeks, and to get myself right, and which has been a great experience, and really, without going into it in great detail, and I feel wonderful now, and really excited about my future.
Because people have said the comeback's not the problem, it's the long wait, but you seem happier than ever. You're almost enjoying the wait.
To an extent, I feel that good now at the moment. So I feel that I'm part of a horse again, which I haven't for a long time, you know, and really looking forward to it. And I think when I do, I'll appreciate it more. I mean, I more or less was taking it for granted. You're riding all these great horses, and you're taking them for granted. Didn't really, I mean, not getting the same thrill as I used to. And I know now when I come back that it'll be different.
Alice Down wrote in the Racing Post, and I don't know if you read it, he said, so clear off, Kieren, and get yourself sorted out. You'll be welcome back when or if you grow up enough to treat the sport with the respect it has so generously accorded to you. What would you say to that?
Well, Alistair had his own problems, didn't he? And he picked himself up, and obviously he can throw stones now, but you know, hopefully that I can continue where I am today. I feel great, I feel well. I'm really looking forward to getting back. And
would you like to show people that you can do it now? Because
more so than ever.
Yeah.
More so than ever.
People might think, and I think, you know, I've heard it said, you know, that maybe you let, you know, the tables down a bit, the Magnia's down.
Of course I did. I mean, that was proven I let them down, but I mean, I was going through a lot of people won't know unless they've been depressed themselves what it's like. And when you get into that state of mind, you know, you basically don't care about anything or anybody, you know, and it's more or less a sickness or an illness, and I'm right again.
There are punters out there. Some will always think you're a villain. Other people will want the Fallon drive back. Kieren, you must know the shouts from the stadium that comes for you. You must look forward to those again, because you do have a huge support and a special talent. You must realise that.
Yeah, and in particular there, when I was riding in Ireland, even though I was suspended over here, and there were a lot of clouds around, and when you ride in Ireland, I mean, the public and the fans were just amazing. In Champions Day at Leopardstown, when I won in Dylan Thomas, our second our second champion stakes. It was just electric, you know.
3 Aidan O'Brien runners battling it out, and here comes Dylan Thomas and Kieren Fallon to head Duke of Marmalade, racing inside the last 200 yards, and Dylan Thomas is galloping into the history books, the first horse ever to win back-to-back champion stakes. It is Dylan Thomas and Kieren Fallon who wins the Tattersalls Millions from Stable Companions, Duke of Marmalade, and Red Rock Canyon, 1, 2, 3 Aidan O'Brien.
Dylan Thomas Art Day. People have long said, you know, how did you cope with the pressure that day? You know, there was a steward's inquiry, you were in court the next day, it was an incredible ride. Some people would argue under the rules you should have been thrown out.
Been the best horse won of the day. I've always said that he's probably one of my favourite horses in training. He's got everything you want. He's got a heart as big as a lion. I mean, I've never beaten on him, you know, and obviously we clicked together, you know. But he was a magic horse to ride, you know.
In association with Coral, as serious about racing as you are.
This Toshiba laptop looks the business. It's got a webcam and a 120GB hard drive to store all your music, photos and films. Plus, it's got an Intel Pentium dual-core processor, so it's fast. And at $399, it'll go fast too.
I'm not going to tell you the name of this band, but they're great. Thank you.
We'd all prefer to relax in the garden than we did. So we've developed our most powerful weed killer yet, inspired by nature. We took an active ingredient found in plant cells and created new Weedol Max, an advanced weed killer that shows visible results in hours. Unleash the power of nature with new Weedol Max.
The Cooperative Insurance has provided community football coaching to over 14,000 UK kids. Good with money.
Need a newer car? Been refused car credit? Don't worry. Whatever your circumstances, we've got the perfect solution. With a huge range of cars, you're sure to find one that's right for you. All our cars are fully checked and MOT'd. We'll take your old car as full deposit, give you a minimum £1,000 part exchange and £250 cash back with a finance deal that's perfect for you. Call Welcome Car Finance today or apply online at wcf.tv.
People think life in California is one big vacation, but it's really a lot of work.
We have board meetings.
Board meetings!
Lots of board meetings.
We're always playing catch-up.
We're really just a bunch of pencil pushers.
We work with some real characters.
We're always working weekends.
We burn the midnight oil.
Hey, it's a dirty job.
But someone's got to do it.
So if California seems like your kind of work...
We've got one question.
When can you start?
California. Find yourself here.
Introducing the beautiful new Samsung LCD TV Series 6. With full HD performance and a crystal design that will amaze you. The Samsung LCD TV Series 6. Design that performs.
In association with coral.co.uk, as serious about racing as you are.
And Peeping Fawn has great stride up to win it. Another classic victory.
Expedition has enough in reserve and will win the Queen Anne Stakes for Kieren Fallon.
Back-to-back wins for Kieren Fallon, Aidan O'Brien.
One of Kieren's most celebrated Guineas winners was George Washington. I wanted to find out from Kieren what made Gorgeous George such a special horse.
He was a very good 2-year-old. You know, he was a magic horse to have anything to do with, and just continued, you know, and also be a long time before there'd be one around as good.
The same race, of course, you won with Golan the 2,000 guineas. He went on to win the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes.
Golan has come to join Naif. They're inside the final furlong, and these two will fight it out now. Golan on the inside of Naif. A great battle between these two brave horses. It's going to be tight. Golan just.
And Golan in the King George, he beat Naif ahead. That really was the Fallon drive that we've talked about already. It was a King George that a lot of people crabbed a little bit because there was no 3-year-old in the race, but it was still a good performance.
It was, but he was tough. I mean, basically, he didn't want to lose that race. If you can see him, he had his head down. He battled all the way to the line, and I think if he went around again, he'd just still stayed there. I mean, he had a heart as big as a lion.
What about Motivator? He won, of course, the Racing Post Trophy on Motivator at Doncaster.
Yeah, he was obviously a good horse in the first day of riding work actually down here for Michael Bell. He was always a great horse to have anything to do with. He had a great attitude. He was always going to be a Derby horse, and he went on and he proved that. Unfortunately, he wasn't as good as Oratorio.
And it's now Oratorio and Motivator. It's a rematch of the Eclipse. Oratorio, Kieren Fallon on the near side. On the far side, Motivator. Alexander Roadrun flashing home in third. Oratorio wins the Champion Stakes. A big win for Aidan O'Brien.
Which proved he beat him twice.
Is that just the jockey change?
Well, the said it was I was lucky at Sandown to win, but he proved it in the Champion Stakes. He was by far the better horse. You know, Oratorio was a laid-back, lazy type that needed a lot of stoking, and you know he was a horse that had a lot of ability, but just used to do enough.
Let's chat about another top trainer there, Henry Cecil. Royal Anthem in the King Edward VII Stakes back in 1998. Royal Anthem was one of those horses on his day. For me, he was as good as anything.
He was a massive big horse that had a high cruising speed, and I think it was Canadian International was the highlight of his career with Gary Stevens. But no, he was a good horse.
Fantastic horse, Royal Anthem. And let's just have a look at the Prince of Wales' Stakes, 1997. I'm not sure if you can remember off the top of your head who won that. It was, of course, the mighty Bosra Sham.
It's another brilliant display here by Henry Cecil's Bosra Sham. Kieren Fallon coming home unchallenged winners of the Prince of Wales Stakes.
She was a filly that was really built like a colt. She had a high cruising speed that she's probably one of the best fillies of our generation. You know, she had all the qualities of a top class filly, and she proved that. You know.
You beat Ouija Board with Dylan Thomas, but you also, of course, rode Ouija Board to famous victories, including in the Darley Irish Oaks back in 2004. Again, as a filly, she must have been one of the best in recent years.
Yeah, the best probably memory was winning the Epsom Oaks probably. And then saying that the Breeders' Cup on her was something I'll never forget. Breeders are probably my favourite races to ride in America, and to be able to win as easy as she did, you know, she just oozed by them as if they were stopped. You know, she was top class.
It was back in Lone Star Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I thought she was a bit unlucky not to have won through three, you know, back-to-back Breeders' Cups. And yeah.
We go back in time a bit further. Ramruna.
It's an Oaks double for Ramruma, Henry Cecil and Kieren Fallon, as Ramruma runs them ragged and wins by about 8 lengths. Ramruma wins it, Sun Spangled just gets the better of Sister Bella.
She was a horse, she wasn't very big, but she had a big heart, you know, and stayed well and got a great temperament. She was a smashing individual to ride.
And you rode North Light to victory at Epsom, and then went on to the Irish Derby, just got beat by Grey Swallow in a driving finish. North Light, was he unlucky not to win $2?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what happened in Ireland, but he obviously wasn't himself. You know, a lot of the times, you know, I mean, horses in the Derby are, I don't know why it is, but they struggle really to go on from there. You know, I don't know whether it's the track or whatever, but he was very good at Epsom.
Sir Michael Stout, dab hand with just about all horses, as we've discussed, but Russian Rhythm, winner of the Coronation Stakes, and of course, as we said, a winner of a Guineas here at Newmarket.
Yeah, but she was always, I remember I was only talking to him the morning about her, first day I rode her work, I always knew she was going to be champion.
Still in front, Russian Rhythm. Soviet Song's got to within a length, but Russian Rhythm is holding her on the run to the line. Now Soviet Song tries to dig in for one final effort. It's in vain. Russian Rhythm will complete the Guineas Coronation Stakes double and win for Kieren Fallon and Sir Michael Stout.
And she was built like a colt. She was big. She had a great temperament. She had high cruising speed. You know, she was a joy to ride. She made our job easy.
Russian Rhythm carrying the colours of Cheveley Park Stud, Kieren, an owner that you've done incredibly well for. And another horse they owned that you mastered was Medition, winner of an Eclipse and 2 Queen Anne Stakes. That was some effort.
Yeah, back-to-back Queen Anne's, Medition won the Eddie's penalty. He was a lovely horse to ride. A horse with terrific temperament. Loved top of the ground. Went against us obviously in the Eclipse. It rained very heavily and he still won. You know, he was a horse that I loved to ride, and obviously he's proven himself now as a stallion.
I was going to say he's passed on his ability, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Medition's winning left, right, and centre.
Yeah, lovely horse to ride, and he's doing so well, which is good to see, because Cheveley Park Stud and Mr. and Mrs. Thompson were probably one of my first and biggest owners that I was successful with, you know, and they've been so helpful, you know.
Handicappers do count in this game, and 2 that I think you'll have a special moment for. Can, who we can see winning the Queen Alexandra Stakes in 1997, beating Old Rouvel and Neck in an incredible finish, and also Old Cover-Up, beating Archduke Ferdinand and Double Honour in the same race in 2002. I mean, if you don't love Cover-Up...
Cover-Up, obviously one of my favourite races, or one of my favourite horses. He used to take you there, but he was another horse that, you know, wanted to be produced late, but he used to cruise there and make the job easy. But Can was quite the opposite. He was a horse that you'd need oxygen when you'd finish riding him. He was lazy. I remember when he won the Doncaster Cup, and I was going to die after the race, but I mean, great old horses, you know, and they're what you need, you know.
Coming a little bit more up to date, Peeping Fawn. She was amazing, because in her maiden she looked nothing special, and suddenly she just bloomed.
Yeah, actually before she ran into Guineas, I think she had 3 attempts to win her maiden, and obviously she just went to a different level completely after the Oaks, and they tell me that she's really done well, and she'll be a horse that'll be hard to beat this year, even if she takes on the colts.
It is Hurricane Run making his seasonal reappearance and going to signal further successes ahead for him as Hurricane Run scores for Kieren Fallon and followed in second by Alexander Gold Run.
Impressive victory there from an Irish Derby winner and an ARC winner. He's going to go on to bigger and better things. Hurricane Run, the winner, the 2006 Tattersalls Gold Cup.
He was awesome. You know, he was a typical Monjou horse. Was always going to get better and improve, and he had a great attitude, and I mean, he was a joy to ride. You know, he made your job so easy. You know, but at Tattersalls Gold Cup day, he was electric that day. You know, all I do is sit and steer. You know, I know there's only a couple of runners in the race, but I don't think it made a difference. You know.
And Yeats, dual Ascot Gold Cup winner. Again, we can have a look at you winning the Irish Field St Ledger in 2007.
It's Scorpion the far side. Near side is Yeats. Only a neck separates them. Yates, the dual Ascot Gold Cup winner, wearing down the Scorpion, his stablemate, and Yates gets up for a famous win. Scorpion in second. Third then is Moorswell.
It was a bit of a struggle for Yeats in the end. Scorpion really put it up to him.
Yeah, that was nearly a cock-up that day. I mean, there was no pace on at all. I was sitting in behind, and only for I had the horse, I mean, I would never have got Scorpion, you know. Before I got out and chased Scorpion, he nearly nicked it. So that was a lucky win for him.
It would be fair to say he seemed a horse who was better earlier in the season?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it's hard, I think, to keep stayers, you know, at that level, you know, through the year. You mean, sprinters, you know, they can get away with it, but these stayers, because you know, obviously you have to give them more work, you know, and it's harder on them, you know, obviously because they're running much further, you know. So it is hard to keep them going all year, you know, and expected to have them as well as you have them for the first half of the season.
Let's end with what might be your favourite. Maybe if you could marry a racehorse, maybe it would be Dylan Thomas. I mean, so many victories on him, multiple Group 1s, 2 Irish Champion Stakes. I don't think any other horse has done that back to back. And of course, that amazing day in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. He's definitely going to have a chapter in your book one day.
Well, I was so lucky with him, you know, I think 6 times and 6 wins on him, back-to-back champion stakes, which is probably one of the hardest races in Europe to win. It's a mile and a quarter, you need speed and you need stamina.
What did you understand about him that made you such a good connection?
When I got on him, he'd such a great attitude. You know what I mean? He was a very clever horse. He had a big heart, and when you get on him, you just feel so comfortable. You know, it'd be like getting into a Rolls Royce. And you know, I used to be happy when I was riding him or on him, and obviously he felt the same way. And he had confidence when I was on him, and that's why we were never beaten.
On the outside, Dylan Thomas sweeps through between horses, racing down to the final furlong, and Dylan Thomas and Kieren Fallon have gone for home. A few lengths clear, has set the Derby in a few strides. A most impressive victory. It's another win for Ballydoyle. It's Dylan Thomas and Kieren Fallon clear. Another classic victory for Ballydoyle and Aidan O'Brien, and written by Kieren Fallon, the 206 Budweiser Irish Derby winner. Will you welcome, please, Dylan Thomas? They're racing to the final furlong. Ouija Board and Jamie Spencer lead. Dylan Thomas, Kieren Fallon responding on the inside and racing up towards the line. Dylan Thomas, the Derby winner, wins the Bailey's Irish champion. Back-to-back wins for Kieren Fallon, Aidan O'Brien. Second is Ouija Board, Alexander Gold Run. Aidan O'Brien runners battling it out, and here comes Dylan Thomas and Kieren Fallon to hit Duke of Marmalade, racing inside the last 200 yards, and Dylan Thomas is galloping into the history books, the first horse ever to win back-to-back champion stakes. It is Dylan Thomas and Kieren Fallon who wins the Tellers of Millions from stable companions Duke of Marmalade and Red Rock Canyon. 1, 2, 3, Aidan O'Brien.
Here's Dylan Thomas, the dark blue up on the outside, authorised, beginning his challenge, but he's many lengths behind the leaders as Dylan Thomas and Soldier of Fortune move on together. Dylan Thomas hampered Zambezi's son there. Zane's coming with a challenge, get away from the back of the field, then on the inside Segara, but it's Kieren Fallon and Dylan Thomas with Richard Hughes and Zane challenging. Then comes Segara, heading towards the line. Dylan Thomas in front, Zane on the outside comes to challenge him, but Dylan Thomas won it.
I just want to get back, and probably a goal for me would be to get back here, and I'd love to be champion jockey again. But that's the one goal really I have left in life.